start, which is basically welcome to Domain to Profit, where I scour the internet each week looking for opportunities for you to start your next business. And we have some good ones this week. So if you would, technical difficulties aside, subscribe to the channel, like this video now that we have sound. Hopefully we'll be able to bring you some good stuff. And we'll get started and continue on from thought to profit here. Of course, get a little flustered when things don't go right. You know, you don't practice for things to go wrong. So, well, I'm Drew Wash, and I grew up in a town named Laughlin, just north of Cincinnati. I'm actually just north of Cincinnati still in my office. When I was a kid, before I ever explored the internet, I explored the creeks around here and these giant old brick buildings, these industrial buildings that are around. We weren't supposed to go into them. It's dangerous stuff. I mean, these wood floors have these giant holes in them where they like have collapsed from water damage and everything that came in. So these are the kind of buildings that you might see in horror movies, you know, like Freddy Krueger, you know, just lots of rust and rot. The businesses were long gone. They left collapsing buildings, shuttered businesses, and growing up, there's little opportunity around me. I don't know if you can relate if your community was like this. You know, in the shadows of these monsters, these buildings, was my struggling lower income community of working class families. You know, these old buildings, they didn't offer opportunity. The community didn't offer opportunity. But luckily, I got a computer and I connected it to the internet and I found all the opportunity I needed. Opportunity that still remains in abundance, more than I can possibly ever take for myself. With that computer, I pursued opportunity after opportunity, and girls too, but opportunity. It was a matter of finding and unlocking the right opportunity. I've done banner advertisements on websites. I've paid my way through college selling other people's software, which is called affiliate marketing nowadays. Back then it was just scrapping for money on the internet. Then I made software, sold that, created SaaS, CRM website businesses, sold leads, sold clicks, sold orders. I worked as a consultant and sold my time for big hourly rates. Done all this different stuff. Maybe you're here too. But ultimately, the roads led to domain names. Domains that have enhanced and replaced nearly every other business. You know, regardless of the types of business that you run, domain names matter, business you're considering. Starting with domain names, I've built businesses like towing.com, DJs.com, cartransport.com, many others. They all start with that domain name. Sites that we have are visited by millions of people, sites that serve thousands of small businesses, helping them accomplish their dreams. And at the same time, allowing me to have larger and larger dreams. Small kid from this little town, have these big dreams, and I've managed to accomplish so many of them. And I owe it all to domain names. And now I want to see if we can find that opportunity and that domain name to add to your life too. So here's how we dive into this each week. We're going to do something called a 3-minute business plan. And in it, we're going to list a domain name that's going to be available this week. Now, here's the key thing about this. These are domains that are available this week and probably this week only. So as we look at a domain name, we're going to put together a 3-minute business plan, and we're going to talk about the opportunity on that domain, the opportunity to take that domain name to profit, domain to profit. It's literal, nice and easy. So what I've done is I went ahead and I created a worksheet for you that you can follow along with. And let me put the URL that you can get this to. If you go here, you'll be able to find a sheet like this. And this sheet is just something, since we're going through so much in 3 minutes for each of these domains, this may offer an opportunity to kind of keep up and see some information. And as we talk about what these different sections on this mean, well, then you can maybe make some notes on that. So depending on where you're coming to business, whether you've never ran a business or been involved in business before, or you're a avid pro. So hopefully there's plenty of information, and no matter what, you'll hopefully get lots of stuff. So let's get started on the first domain name. So I'm going to pull up my domain name file, switch my cameras over. And here we go. So the first domain name for today, and I'm doing this one first. Peter Askew over on Twitter, he brought this domain to me. It's from on GoDaddy Auctions, and basically what this domain is, it's sell my horse. And I told him, like, sell my horse. I can't help but hear like Samuel L. Jackson's voice, like, sell my MFing horse. Okay, it's not a kid show, but still. This domain is over on GoDaddy Auctions, which GoDaddy Auctions, or here's like a URL that you can get to it if you're not familiar with where GoDaddy Auctions are. It's sellmyhorse.com. Maybe you love horses, maybe you don't, maybe you've been involved, maybe you don't. Peter specifically said, hey, start the eBay of horses, and let's look to see if maybe that's possibly what we want to do. So the reason why I do this one first, the reason why we're diving into this one specifically is that the domain auction for this ends in an hour. So if you see it and you're like, oh, this is the greatest domain ever, then you'll want to hop on over there and start getting it. So looks like Paige says he's going to want all of them. Yep. And hopefully, David says, I do not see the worksheet. Hopefully, you can find that worksheet. Let me put up that URL again. If anybody else having any issues finding it, from domain to profit 3-minute plan should be this worksheet here. And I can try to go over there myself. From domain to profit. Let's see. Okay, it works for me, and there's should be a download button. I'll share my screen out here. And just real quick, I'll show you this. So here's the what you should be seeing. Okay, so you should be go to that website from domain to profit.com, 3-minute plan. You should be able to click that. It should bring the PDF right up. So it's free. There's not even an email or anything you have to enter. So hopefully you find that. And let me get back over here. You know, we'll get a little faster at all this stuff. And let's see. Somebody share the URL here as well. Oh, yeah, not in the chat. Okay. So basically, what we're going to do, let me get the right screen. We are going to go to the, we're going to look, and now that we've kind of set it up here, we're going to talk about sellmyhorse.com. And I'm going to put up the 3-minute timer. So what we're going to do is we're going to run right down this worksheet, even if you don't have it in front of you. We're just going to talk business, and we're going to talk about how this domain name could turn into a business, hitting all the key parts that a great domain name can give you. And nice thing is this one's cheap. So let's start the timer. Sellmyhorse.com. And obviously, when we're talking about sellmyhorse.com, we're going to be talking about a domain name that is going to be for people that are trying to sell my horse. That's the beauty of these generic domain names. They're going to set up your audience, which is this first box. So many people want to start with a product, and I'll talk about this here in a little bit, but so many people want to start with a product or service, but you need to start with your market. You need to start with that audience. Who are you actually trying to target with whatever it is that you're going to make money off of, whatever your revenue source is going to be? We're going to start with people that are trying to sell their horse. The people that are going to need to find this website are going to be the people that are looking to buy horses. Pretty easy. So we can monetize this. The problem is people want to sell their horse or buy a horse. The solution that we're going to offer is classifieds, or a way for people to list horses for sale, list services related to buying and selling horses. So we will be doing probably either a per listing sale or a membership fee of some sort to list those horses for sale. This is an interesting one. I know nothing about horses. Horses scare the death out of me. But so down here, and I have a lot of blur on this, not 100% sure why, but down here is our unique selling proposition. It's our message. So this is where our business plan, kind of how we're going to make money, is going to be communicated out to that market. It's the connection between who we are and who we're trying to reach. In this case, our unique selling proposition is, hey, you're trying to sell my horse. You're trying to sell your horse. Well, sellmyhorse.com is the place to do it. And the only way to list on sellmyhorse.com is to be directly listed on the site. And whatever it is that you bring, it's that unique opportunity, you can mention in the unique selling proposition or the message that you're putting out there. So the domain name itself is going to provide the authority. So it's not the strongest authority. You would certainly, I mean, horse.com would be a better domain name for authority, but people hear the domain name and they know exactly what the domain name does. And they also know exactly what the domain name is trying to do. So these action domains could be a great place to start. So down here on the bottom, I break marketing into authority and awareness. So authority is kind of why they would buy from you. It's going to be your trust, your expertise, who you are and your experience. We'll talk about that a little bit, but the awareness is going to be how you're going to reach the people that are going to pay you money. How are you going to reach your customers and your audience? So that's going to be for something like this. If we're doing a per classified ad, we might do pay-per-click campaigns where we need the pay-per-click expense to be less than our listing fee. Then, of course, word of mouth. The horse community, I imagine, is pretty small. But we're going to get that first customer probably through a lot of cold calling people that may need to sell their horse, which we'll have to find them on the internet. And call enough of them, you're going to get that first listing, your first revenue. Close to 3 minutes. So hopefully you see that could be a classified business. So maybe sellmyhorse.com is something you're interested in. And if you would, if ever you hear something on the show, you like it and you get it and you build something on it, whether it's a domain name we mention or a domain name that we don't mention, but you decide to be inspired to apply something and build a business, please let me know. Part of From Domain to Profit, the goal that I have for this is to have 100 domain names built into businesses through this show. I want even larger numbers, but I want to start with that. 100 domain names built into businesses, whether it's the ones that we mentioned specifically or just inspiring you to pull that domain name out of your back pocket and build something on it. So the next domain that I'm going to talk about, so let me check chat. Any questions or anything that we have? So anybody into horses? Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. As you ask questions, I'll talk about those. So that one I wanted to get out of the way just in case by some chance somebody wants to do it. I personally don't do many classified ads or classified websites. I try to stick to what has worked best for me, which is like advertising, membership. A lot of people call them directory sites, but people pay us a monthly fee to list on our authoritative domain name. So, for example, our main domain is, towing.com, which let me towing.com is our domain, and it costs us a boatload of money. I'll tell that story someday, but basically I put my house on the line, flew out to California to buy it, 6-figure domain name, and I had no ties to the towing industry whatsoever. Like I did stuff in long distance auto transport, but that domain name allowed me to enter the towing industry. And in fact, the way that I did it, a lot of people always kind of go like, how can you pay so much for a domain name? Well, my in was I had a single page on that domain name, a single page that I was able to make about $2,500 a month within a month. So just by putting that domain out there, I had a page that made $2,500 a month. I'll walk you through that someday. It was a super simple page that we literally went and typed people into. One of the largest things that the biggest things people bring up to when it comes to developing a domain name is the development. Like, I'm not a programmer, I'm not a database guy. Easy for you, Drew, you are. The thing is I started entering everything by hand. Like, I learned a little bit of HTML and typed it all in. So there's a lot of great tools out there. Over the weeks, we'll talk about some of them, but you don't have to be scared of the development. With the right format, all you gotta do is type it in. So I don't mean to make that small or sound smaller than what it is. It's a big deal, but the key thing is to start somewhere. So let me see here. How would you build that classified site? So that's a great question. It depends on what your goals are. When you're building any site, the goal is to kind of have an early victory for me. Just like I talked about with towing.com, you want to have an early victory. It's a business, right? You want to make revenue. You want to feel that momentum drag you into telling you that, yes, spending your time on this matters. Spending your time on this is worth it. So making those phone calls, getting that first sale, even if it doesn't make financial sense to list somebody there for $20 or something, enter it manually is how I would build it. There's tools out there. I personally use like leadpages.com. It's a little bit more of an expensive tool. We'll talk about some of the cheaper ones. And if anybody in the web chat wants to share like a cheap WYSIWYG type editor, the main thing is you need to be able to kind of like just make the site look basic and then be able to type the information on there. Well, we'll talk more about building here in a second, but I want to go and make sure that we are showing the content, which is, let's get to another 3-minute business plan, and we'll keep rolling because I want to make sure we get through plenty of these so that way you have the opportunity to see these. So the next domain name up, let me save this file. Okay, nope, not Sell My Horse. In fact, this is actually kind of, I put this one in here for, I'm a really awkward, I'm a pretty awkward guy, I should say. And I like this kind of thing. So because we did Sell My Horse, over on GoDaddy auctions, there's actually going to be horsetour.com is coming up for sale. And I just kind of thought it was so funny to mention domain name. Says GoDaddy auctions, where you'll be able to find that one. That closes in 3 days. At the time that I looked at it, it was going for $37. Horsetour.com, I'd like it better if it was horsetours.com, but horsetour.com. Here we go. 3-minute business plan for horsetours.com or horsetour.com. So the domain name tells us horses again, tour specifically. I always give myself a couple extra seconds there. But horsetour.com, we're going to want to, my wife likes going on horseback riding. Whenever we go travel, she's always looking through the excursions. Horseback riding is one of them. You know, going on these tours, we did Mayan ruins one time. But there's always people that want to go on horse tours, horse-led tours, whenever they travel. So this falls in the travel industry, I believe. And so your audience are going to be people that are looking to go on a horse tour. So you're going to have, the nice thing about travel and tour industry, there's a lot of marketing dollars out there. So you're going to have people that are going to be willing to pay to advertise on this domain name. So horseback tours or whatever, you know, it's $100, $200 to book one of these tours. And you can't beat, so I mean, you could charge a decent amount of money to list. So the question becomes, is the domain name authoritative to where you call that person, hey, XYZ horse riding company, I run horsetour.com and we want to put your company on it. The only way to get on there is to list with us directly. And the beauty is it's only $20 for a 60-day listing or whatever it is, your whatever pricing strategy. We'll get into pricing someday as well. So you can kind of hear that first call, how that might go. The solution would be listing, unless you're operating horse tours. I would say what you're going to be providing is a way for people that are looking for horse tours to find tour operators. It seems like a pretty straightforward, paying a monthly or an annual fee. Or if you're into the pay per referral type thing, you can do it on a referral basis. The nice thing about a referral basis is if you get more per referral than what your cost to acquire a customer is, you can do pay per click advertising and paid advertising. We kind of already went over a little bit of the the unique selling proposition. The authority comes from the domain name. That's what's great about domain names. It helps with that sounding expertise. Even if you've never dealt with horses before ever, you're going to sound like you have something to do with that because after all, you operate horsetour.com. See how that works? I love that. Like that's literally how our sales still go on our domains is, hey, with towing.com, the only way to be on towing.com, the industry defining domain name is to advertise with us directly. And we help you with XYZ, provide these tools, things that we're able to do now that we've developed that site. But, and then awareness, we're going to do it through brute force calls and maybe some pay-per-click advertising, which you can always Google how to dive into that if it's something you're trying to do this week or learning quickly. But there we go. Call those people, offer the deal, and get the first sale. So there we go. We talked about Horse Tour, did it in about 3 minutes. Anybody out there going to go for Horse Tour? It looks like it's going for a pretty good price. I'm always going to leave off whether or not I'm going to go for a domain name, but I want to try to keep that. But I still plan on buying domain names. I love this stuff. So, okay. So Paige asked, how long does it take to rank in the search engines? So much of that is going to depend on how much time and effort you put into SEO. So let me go over to this. Hopefully this camera focuses. So Paige, I'll talk about this over time, but if a domain name is authoritative enough, so for example, towing.com is industry defining. There's already people linking to it, building up some important factors to search engine optimization just by it existing. So it was a little easier. It's a little easier for us to own the search engines for a lot of our major keywords. I mean, it goes up and down and things, but so that happened pretty quickly. But it's going to so much depend on the industry. Something like horse tours, if you're starting with a blank slate, the number I would toss out there as an SEO person is 16 months, but that's I'm pulling that out of a hat. Like 16 months, you should be able to see some SEO. So you should have like what you're going to do to build that over time. So the reason why I want to go over to this desk is this what I'm going to do to illustrate things. The way I see it, and I'll talk about this over time, is as you start these businesses, you're going to end up spending money on pay-per-click and paid social. Hopefully that makes sense. Like this is money on this side, and this is time down here. Hopefully you can read that. So you're going to put money into Facebook, you're going to put money into Google, and you're going to do that because you're expecting, or you're going to need the cost that you're putting into it to be less than the money you're making per booking or whatnot for your business. In this case, horse tours, you're going to need it to be less per click. But over time, you're going to want to build your SEO because SEO is that free business. Hopefully Google continues to give it to us, but it's that free traffic that helps your site kind of really own that industry. So what Paige is talking about here is how long does it take to really get up here to where you're generating traffic? And 16 months, assuming you're doing some SEO stuff, you got to get on the blogs and kind of look into that. Most places you hire are going to do very basic stuff. I don't buy into most of the SEO services that are out there. When I was SEO consultant, I was charging I was charging thousands a month, hundreds an hour to do SEO. Like if you want somebody that can do it all, you're going to pay big money. You're not going to find some guy doing it for $60 a month. So to answer, so basically that's a tough question, Paige, is what it comes down to. If you put the money behind it with the right strategy to develop the content, I'll talk about content later on because it's what we do. We don't do a lot of SEO. What we do is get our customers, our members, our visitors to provide the content to grow the SEO over time. I'm going to share all the different strategies that we use over time. I'm going to share them all with you because, realistically, I want everybody to be able to do this stuff. I want you to have some success. So, okay, what do we think? Any other questions? Anybody else going out for horsetour.com? Okay, let me prep up our next domain name. And I can do these. So what we're going to do is I'm trying to look specifically as I do this show. I want to look at opportunities. And if you're just joining us by chance, what we're doing is 3-minute business plans. We are looking at a domain name that's available this week, and we are planning a business on that domain. So basically, these domains are going to be available. They're going to come up for auction at an expired auction. It means somebody let it expire, and then they're now about to become available again. So they go into an auction period, and if enough people want it, the price goes up. and the result is somebody buys that domain name. And there's great domains out there that offer opportunities, and that's what we're doing in these 3-minute business plans. So if you look here, we're going to go into the next domain name. So let me check. So if you have any questions, comments, industries that you love, let me know. If there's a business type, let me know that as well. I have a bunch of domains that I don't think we'll ever get to them all, but I do want to try to get to as many as possible. The next domain name is one I found over on Name Liquidate. So this is actually not an expired auction. This is somebody that's letting a domain name go. And here's how you get the name Liquidate. Hopefully I spelled that right. Liquidate. Okay. Notoriously bad speller. So nameliquidate.com is where you go to find this domain. And this is vacationdresses.com. The way that Name Liquidate works is the price, if it's still available, is actually going to go down over time. So it was $2.99 as of last night when I prepped this, and it's actually going to be going down to, if nobody gets this, if nobody's out there making vacation dresses or interested in this kind of industry, it may go for $19, $9, like cheap. So if you work in anything vacation wise, well, let's talk about it. Let's run the 3-minute business plan. So this is the worksheet that we're going to work. Let me go over and show you where to find this, just in case you're joining us. It's over at from domain to profit.com, 3-minute plan. You'll find a worksheet that is what we run down in our 3-minute business plans. So hopefully you can get over there, print that out, or just kind of follow along. And we're going to look at vacationdresses.com, and I'm going to start the clock. So basically, vacationdresses.com, we're looking at travel again, travel-related clothing, something I don't know a ton about, but luckily the domain name spells it out for us, right? It's people that are selling vacation dresses. Maybe they're specifically to go over bathing suits, warm weather, something to do with vacation. Hopefully that makes sense. That's going to be our market, or that's going to be our customer, probably those people that are selling the dresses. That's where the money's coming in. And then what we're going to try to do is develop an audience for that domain name for people that are looking for vacation dresses. So what I want to do is actually take you over, hopefully within the 3 minutes here, and I'm going to show you the SEM Rush. So this is a tool that I use. This is a tool that I use for, let me share my screen, and hopefully it's going to pull up here. So SEM Rush, hopefully you can see that there, is a tool that helps me look at keywords, try to judge an audience, judge a industry. So vacationdresses.com, I typed in there. You get like 1 search per day. So you get it free, 1 search per day. I pay for an account. There's other tools out there that we'll talk about at some point that can help you kind of judge an industry. For time's sake, I'm using this one. So vacationdresses.com, there's 9.9 thousand searches for this domain name. As you can see, it's a little seasonal over time. Not a ton of traffic, says it's difficult. And here's where you can see, let me try to zoom in on that. Vacation dresses is searched over 9,000 times. So if you're kind of out there going like me, this domain name, what's going on with vacationdresses.com, not a very big industry. It's actually over 9,000 searches each month. So, and then, so that's our market, 9.9 thousand searches. And I'm going to miss this deadline. But basically, we're talking about people that need to find vacation clothing, expendable income, typically, and those who are selling it. You can look at drop shipping, Shipify. So even if you don't make the product, you can sell someone else's product at a commission or a percentage. And then basically, you have the domain name. So people are more likely to trust the .com exact match domain name for a keyword than many others. I can tell you that out of experience because I'm trying to beat the clock. So your authority of the domain name is going to allow people to trust that domain name, click on your links more, and trust what you're going to put out there. Now it's a matter of awareness, pay-per-click, social. the things that we kind of talk about over on the other side. And then, of course, you're going to want to build up your SEO over time so you can hopefully reduce your cost per acquisition. So I don't know, anybody going to sell vacation dresses? Vacation dresses, not me. That's not necessarily something I'm going to be out there doing, but different strokes for different folks. So I haven't sold a physical product that actually needed to be shipped. Like, that's one of the few things that I've not done. And for the most part, what I have done though is I've sold software, different products, and so if you're going to do vacation dresses, so there we go. 3 minutes. Any questions on that one? Anybody selling a physical product that you're interested in? It's a tough category, but lots of people do it. And the beautiful thing is there's a site called like Shopify.com that makes the idea. I once programmed an e-commerce site for a company that sold bedwetting alarms, and these are what you give your kid when you need to, if you're potty training them and they're having, enuresis. It's from my doctor term from when I used to do the SEO on that site. So basically, these sites or these bedwetting alarms needed to show up in the search engines, and they're looking to, anyhow, I set up an e-commerce site on that, and I literally programmed out all the code, the SSL, the credit card processing. Man, I'll tell you what, a site like Spotify.com makes this stuff so much easier than what it ever was for me to be able to do. So there you go. If you want to sell a physical product, look at using like a Spotify, or not Spotify, that's Shopify, Shopify.com. Okay, let's set up for our next one. If there's anybody out there that's looking to sell a physical product, this, a lot of the domains that I've bought over the years have been, I tend to buy a little more expensive domain. Well, a lot more expensive domains. And that's because I started off small. I started off on domains, actually like things like movingindex.com. It was, I self-registered. It was, $10, $20 when I got it. And I would use that domain name, and I bootstrapped my way to larger and larger, better quality domain names. So I want to show a mix on the show of expensive domains, lower price domain names, and there's not a lot of expensive domain names coming up this week, but there is one. A buddy, Sean, who runs a SEM, search engine marketing newsletter on Substack. He sent me one. He mentioned it in his newsletter, and said I could mention it here, which is, let's pull this next domain up. Okay, here we go. And the domain is stopdrinking.com. Stopdrinking.com. Good time to take a drink. Okay, so stopdrinking.com. Well, there you go. It's going for $5,100 plus as of the point that I recorded that. It's not listed there, but it is over on GoDaddy auctions, I believe. So it's over on GoDaddy, and $5,100. So you're looking to pay a pretty penny for this domain name, and a lot of it is going to be because the domain name's better. Typically, that's why a domain name is going to go for more money. In a future episode, we're going to look at how you can make up the price, how you can pay more for a domain name than other people and still make it worth it, assuming it's the right domain. Only do it on the right domains. Okay, start the clock. Stopdrinking.com, 3-minute business plan. So the audience is going to be what we're looking, people that are looking to stop drinking, people that are selling trainings, maybe it's online programs, counseling, different programs for those who are looking to do exactly what the domain name says, stop drinking. So there's actually quite a big movement towards the idea of not drinking. It's the huge trend, actually. So I know just from my little research over the years that this trend is growing. So as a domain name, this is a good opportunity. And stopdrinking.com, where people can go to help themselves stop drinking, to find counseling, to find training, for people to sell trainings, online trainings and things. The profit margins and things are good for you as a domain name. So I tend to focus on digital products, but counseling, therapies, there's a lot of stuff that goes in this. Of course, as you approach medical type stuff, and let me see, Jameson, he says lead gen, it's huge for these kind of things. So, you get a little more into like HIPAA type stuff. You have to worry about privacy and things, but hey, figure it out. Entrepreneurship is all about finding a problem and solving that problem. So, if you're looking to build something on this, stopdrinking.com, and you do a lot of good work with the domain name like this. So let me see here. So stopdrinking.com. The problem is people are looking for solutions. People are looking for a way to stop drinking. They're turning to the internet looking for programs to do that. The solution that we're providing is we're helping them find those trainings, those facilities in their area, possibly a local search directory. And the unique selling proposition is going to tie them to the authority of the domain name, which is something along the lines of, if you're looking to stop drinking, the only place or the best place to go is stopdrinking.com, where, just for such an authoritative domain name. I would love to look up the SEO on that just to see how many keywords people are searching for. I'm guessing that is why it is. How many times is that used in conversation? In fact, everyone, after they drink too much, they're never going to drink again, right? They're going to stop drinking. So anyhow, okay. So authority, this domain's great at it. Again, especially if you go the lead gen method, like Jameson said, you would just need to have your cost per customer acquisition be less than what you make, and you do it one at a time until you actually start growing it to where it can provide the lifestyle that you're looking for. So I do like the idea of lead gen, but I always love that reoccurring revenue that you can get from a searchable site, which each of these business models over time, we're going to go deeper and deeper into. But this week one from domain to profit, I wanted to make sure that I introduced everybody to the 3-minute business plan. This idea that a domain name can easily turn into a business plan. And also, these domains are available this week only, not from me, but from these auctions that are out there. And you can go out there. And so if one of these domains, if one of these business opportunities resonates with you, take advantage of it, because it's not going to be available again. Similar opportunities come up every day, which we'll talk about them every week right here. So let me pull up the next one. Anybody have any questions? Here's the thing about entrepreneurs. We do not like sharing when there's interest. And I get it. Like, we don't want to say, oh yeah, I'm in this. I don't blame you. You don't want somebody bidding you up in an auction, because these are auctions. So the prices I'm showing are typically going up. So the opportunity is only for one of you. The person that ends up winning the auction. If you're new to domain investing, or this idea of buying a domain name as the blank real estate that you want to build your business on, don't get crazy. Don't spend a bunch of money. Find an opportunity that's suitable for you. Be prepared to fail, and have businesses not go as quick as what you expect them to. Happens all the time. Like we bought, before we ever had towing.com, we had autotowing.com, and it was growing super slow, which is why we had to up the ante and get that towing.com domain. Things always take longer, and that's the reason why when Paige asked how long it takes to get the SEO ranking going, it takes a long time. Count on 16 months. You can make money before then, but you need to make sure that you're leaving a pretty good timeline, and just crank. So a lot of us are bootstrapping this in our part-time and start with. Okay, so I want to showcase various types of domain names, and make sure you leave comments. Make sure you let me know what kind of domain names, what kind of industries you're looking for. I love subscription-based ones. I'll talk about the business model that we use over and over and over again because it provides the lifestyle that I want for myself. And I think it's what a lot of us as entrepreneurs want, that freedom, flexibility to create and not be tied down to, I always wanted to own a coffee shop. But then I thought about the idea of being stuck behind that counter until the business grew to where I can hire the people to replace me. Oh gosh, sounds like prison. But I love coffee. So I love coffee more than I will never know. Okay. Anyhow, so what I was trying to say though is I want to showcase different kinds of domain names, different kind of opportunities. And 15 minutes, I plan on this going till about 4 o'clock, which is about 1 hour from when we start. So let's go to the next domain name. So this domain name specifically is going to be more of a tool. So linktools.com. This one, it's going to expire. It looks like the auction ends tomorrow. And linktools.com, GoDaddy Auctions is where you're going to find this one. And as of yesterday, last night, it was going for over $300. And this domain name is a fun one simply because it provides more of a tool. So, for example, for this one, Link Tools, you'd probably have to be an SEO guy. So these could be tools that help you build links for your websites. One of the pieces of search engine optimization is getting authoritative links linking to your website in a relevant way. So maybe this could be a tool that you make on the internet, and you make the tool once, you work hard once. It's a theme of mine. Work hard once, and then you sell that tool. And then what you need to do is make sure that whether it's a membership like a SaaS, which is software as a service type of business, maybe they pay a monthly fee for it, or maybe let me start the clock. So linktools.com, again, the audience is going to be search engine optimization people that are looking to increase their links. There's so much business in search engine optimization, a lot of bad products and services out there as well. But the nice thing is with an authoritative domain name like linktools.com, suddenly you don't have to worry about being mixed in with linktools.info, which or whatever else, all these different sites that may have done, or anyhow, I don't know. There might be an actual site on that, so I want to watch what I say. But you have an authoritative .com domain name that anybody looking for tools related to building links, you look like the portal. You look like the solution for them. So the problem being people need to build up links to increase their search engine optimization. Solution being the product that you either make and sell through linktools.com, or you selling other people's, possibly through affiliate type marketing, which is where you sell other people's stuff and make a commission, so you can help people find other people's tools. There's actually quite a few of them out there. Just hopefully you find and sell a good product, earn the stamp of that authority of linktools.com. The message, unique selling proposition, is going to be, hey, linktools.com helping you find the tools to build the links to rank your website or your business's website. Something along those lines. Usually the domain name is tied to what makes you unique. When it comes to the unique selling proposition, the USP, you want to relate your authority. You want to relate what makes you unique. What is your in? What gives you an advantage over everybody else? The domain name is a lot of it, right? That's what we're trying to build here. That's why domains offer such an opportunity. So you want to work that in there. Domain, linktools.com, and the authority of the domain name, expertise kind of shows up in that domain name. find some SEO experts, feature them on there, either pay them or get them to include content. Then it's just a matter of bringing awareness, which is this bottom corner here. How do you bring awareness? How do you get people to do it? It could be, I'm guessing, some emails out to, building some networks with SEO professionals, and maybe it's a blog even, to where linktools.com features and discusses the latest link building tools and strategies with the SEO industry. And then it's just a matter of finding others to come in that share that mission, and you're just the white knight that is providing the forum to the world to highlight these experts. So that's a lot of what we do in our strategy, like on towing.com and our sites. So like I said, we'll talk more about that. So linktools.com, and I don't know if anybody out there is looking at providing SEO services. Great domain name, certainly worth checking out. So 10 minutes to the top of the hour, and I have a list of about 10 domain names. So let me know, hit me up in the chat. Let me know, do you want to see a product? Do you want to talk about a product, like selling a physical product? Do you want to talk about services, digital products? Is there any kind of industry specific? I have quite a few variety here. Do we want an expensive domain or a cheap domain? I have a cheap domain name here. I'm going to go with it. Okay. So feel free to hit me in the chat if you have one in particular, but I'm going to go with this one here, mostly because it highlights something that I don't typically highlight, and that is this here. So the domain name that I want to look at here is arithmetic.org. Arithmetic.org. So I typically, okay, and Jameson did say that he would look for services. I think we can do a service with this, service with arithmetic.org. So I typically avoid .orgs. .com is when we look at the idea of authority, this idea of authority in our 3-minute business plan. Authority comes from trust, expertise, experience. All those things wrap up into authority, which is piece of the marketing puzzle that we look at when we do this. I'm going to start the clock. So authority piece, .com is king. However, something like arithmetic, where maybe we're selling a digital product, we're tutoring, probably I'm guessing the top tutoring service out there is probably math, arithmetic. So a .org sounds authoritative when it comes down to helping people with their arithmetic. So hopefully you kind of see that there. This one's over on GoDaddy Auctions. It was only $12 currently. I'm guessing it's going to go up. A single keyword .org is pretty good. So expect to pay certainly more than $12 for it. And arithmetic.org, I like it for services. Maybe virtual online Zoom type tutoring, or maybe it's some kind of paid training, something on Gumroad that teaches math services, or maybe, as the .org possibly tells you, maybe you want to buy something like this, and maybe you're just a kid that struggled in math, and you want to offer it up to the world as a way for people that help other people improve their math skills. There you go. Maybe this is for you, just for nonprofit purposes. So arithmetic.org, not quite the typical one. So because it's not a .com, but it's still a very authoritative domain name. And awareness depends on your business model. If you're selling per subscription or per training, you're going to be looking at the idea of a pay-per-click possibly, which so let me see here. So, if you're over here, you might be looking at pay-per-click, social, paying social over on Facebook or something, where you just need to make sure you're keeping your cost for this below the acquisition costs. And then over time, you're going to want to build that content and build that presence to generate the search engine optimization, which is ultimately where we want to go. And the nice thing is .org, as long as you're not being creepy commercial, is going to probably develop a pretty good link profile as people want to trust it. People want to assume you have, and hopefully you do, have good intentions to help people with their arithmetic. So there you go. I'm going to stop that at 25 seconds left. Hopefully I kind of drummed up a little bit of what arithmetic is. And so for the most part, James and I don't know if I really hit a service one. Well, what I'll do is, how about I do a 3-minute service-related domain. I'd be curious, are you talking about a service provider? So, for example, like a towing company, like a local towing service, or are you talking more about someone that is like service providers? So towing.com, where we list a bunch of towing companies on that domain name, would be one example. But if you are a towing company itself, then the thing about domain names is if a domain name, so for example, if towing.com was owned by a local towing company here, then basically that domain name would not be used by the thousands of other towing companies that would benefit from it, which is why it's important for domain name. Ideally, in my opinion, one of the things that I like to do is share that domain name with a lot of parties, a lot of companies that could benefit from it. So he says that he was specifically thinking about premium consulting services. So yeah, I think linktools.com would be a great one. So specifically, I used to be an SEO consultant, charged hundreds of dollars an hour to do SEO. I would have loved to have a link tools. It's SEO related, and so your purpose may be to charge hourly rates and get people to hire you as a consultant, but you bring them in through it's a lot of times called a value ladder, and it's the idea that you start them maybe with free information, then maybe you charge them for some basic like $5 access to some tool, and then the goal being to bring them in to hire you as a consultant for high price. If you're not familiar with that, I can recommend some books. Expert Secrets by Russell. Let me see, I got it behind me. Russell Brunson. Russell Brunson wrote Expert Secrets, talks about value ladders. The nice thing is, and this is one of the things that I'm going to be ending on, is a domain name can enhance any business. So whether you have an existing business or you are looking to acquire or build a new business, if you start with that domain name, you're essentially starting with premium real estate. And that premium real estate gives you a leg up on the competition through authority. I use authority a lot. And if you have questions on authority, make sure I communicate that to you because it's important. Authority is one of the two pieces of marketing. A lot of places complicate marketing. I want to boil it down as simple as possible. And that is authority is one of the two pieces. There's authority, which is going to be the trust, expertise, how good are you at something. And then there's going to be awareness. Do people know about you? And I have lots of good examples. For example, McDonald's. They're not the authority in hamburgers, but they are, everybody's aware of them, right? They're everywhere. They own awareness. But if you want a good burger, chances are it's somebody you hear word of mouth on or something, right? The authority in burgers. So, well, hopefully you got some good information out of this show. Hopefully you found some opportunity that is going to benefit you in your endeavors to create the life that you want to. And I hope to, if you would, click that subscribe button, hit the little bell even so that we get notifications when we go live. Like this video, leave a comment, and thank you so much for joining me here on From Domain to Profit.